All right, our second class of annelids are the Oligochaeta, and these are the ones that you are almost certainly familiar with if you've ever gone fishing in the rivers and streams around here, or if you've ever walked on a sidewalk after a rainstorm. You're sure to have seen these little red wigglers here. Uh, But there are a number of oligochaetes that are found in marine habitats and in freshwater habitats. And as the name suggests, they don't have lots and lots of these chaetae or setae or bristles that extend from the body. They just have a relative few. So oligo, it's not really defined as a number. It's kind of like when we say some or a few in English. That's not really a defined number, but it's not a lot, and it's not one or two or three. So, if that doesn't clear things up, well, I don't know what I can do for you. But one of the things that characterizes oligochaetes is that they have this cigar band-like structure called a clitellum. And this organ produces mucus, and it helps them with reproduction in that it helps lubricate the way for sperm to be transferred and for the cocoons to be formed. Now, who produces the sperm? And it turns out they all do, because they're hermaphroditic, so they have both male and female gamete-producing structures. So the way that works is when two earthworms are to mate, they line up head to tail, or head to clitellum, and then they have two sets of pores called gonopores. And they have male gamete producing gonopores, which are posterior to. They have female gamete producing gonopores, which are posterior to the male gamete producing gonopores. So the male pores produce sperm, and they have these grooves in their bodies that prevent the sperm from moving towards their own gonopores. So the sperm can be transferred from one worm to the other, from the other earthworm to the one, so they can cross-fertilize each other. And the clitellum produces mucus, which smooths that process along. And then, once fertilization is completed, when the earthworm is going to lay its eggs, it produces mucus that will dry in a ring called a cocoon, and it can wriggle out of that cocoon, and the eggs are protected until they hatch and release the new larval earthworms. Our third class of annelids are the leeches in the order Hierodinea. And they're marine leeches, freshwater leeches, terrestrial leeches. The niche for these guys is that they are ectoparasites, so they latch on to the outside of their host rather than the inside, like a tapeworm or a liver fluke. And they are hemivores. They eat blood. And the Hierodinea have lost their setae. They don't have any setae. And they have very reduced segmentation. You can kind of see annuli on the outside, like you can see especially well here. But on many leeches, it's the segmentation, the annuli are not even evident at all. Now, they do have suckers, which enable them to attach to their hosts. Sometimes they have them at both the oral and the posterior end, or they don't. Some might be lacking one of those. And leeches are kind of famous for being misapplied, quite literally, in medicine in the past. So from the Middle Ages through to even the 18th and 19th centuries, leeches were considered to be a therapeutic organism. And then as more and more science was employed in medicine, it became evident that they weren't really the panacea or the cure-all for all the things that people had been applying them for. And it's only within the past 20 or 30 years or so that we've really began to start using medicinal leeches again. They do have some important medical properties. One of which, we have a lot to learn from leeches, because when leeches bite somebody, they do it very stealthily. They release an anesthetic, so that whoever is getting bitten doesn't immediately react and try and get the parasite off. Another thing that they do is they produce a protein which has anticoagulant properties. And that's important for the leech because, of course, when you're eating blood, you don't want it to clot up on you and the source of blood to stop. You just want to keep eating until you've had your fill. So hirudin has been purified to be used as a medical anticoagulant. All right, so the second biggest phylum of all animals and invertebrates and protostomes are the mollusks, second only to the arthropods in their diversity. Mollusks, very, very diverse group of organisms. The range in size from microscopic, so small you need a microscope to see them, to up to 10 meters in size. Like the giant squid, Architeuthis, can be up to 10 meters. So that is a very big mollusk. Very economically important. A number of food species, all of our bivalve shellfish, things like oysters and clams and mussels and scallops. Those are very important. Some people like to eat snails even. We find pearls, which are a type of precious stone, so to speak, that are produced by oysters. And it might seem like it's a trivial thing, but seashells are economically important. People like to go to the beach and they hunt for seashells. And some seashells are very rare. In parts of Africa, cowrie shells were used for money for a long time. They're also economically important because fossils of different mollusks can serve as indicators of where petroleum reserves might be found. So if you're an oil geologist, you need to study paleontology to help you find these oil reserves. Mollusk means soft-bodied, and they are soft-bodied, even though many of them are covered by some type of shell or valves or something like that. They all have some sort of a muscular foot, just one foot that attaches them to the substrate that they can slither around on. They all have a structure called a mantle, and in those mollusks that have a shell, some type of shell, they use the mantle to secrete that shell. They also have a radula, which is a rasping tongue-like structure. It can have teeth on it that can help them to scrape off algae off of rocks, or to eat plants, or to even burrow through other mollusks. Sometimes the radula can be very toughened so that it can burrow through very recalcitrant substances, like the shells of other mollusks. Maybe you've gone to the beach and you've noticed some seashells that you've picked up have perfectly round little holes in them. And you might wonder, how did those get there? And the answer is some other mollusk came along, and with its radula, it bored a hole through that shell. And sometimes, you can see that other factors might help erode through the shell, but those perfectly round circles are almost certainly the marks of radulas of other mollusks. They also have a structure called a crystalline style in their complete digestive tract. And the crystalline style it is a proteinaceous, a protein crystal-like rod that's found in the gut that pulls a cord of mucus that enables them to uh, pull food through their digestive tracts. They don't really have peristalsis like we do, that those muscles that pull food into our guts. They have this crystalline style that does that for them. Some of them have a head with an accumulation of sensory organs. Think about octopuses and squids. They have a head, as do snails and slugs. So some mollusks have heads, others not so much. But they are eucoelomate. They have well-developed organ systems, so they can have circulation, they can excrete, and they have a whole system in place to perform those functions. We have 4 classes that we are going to concern ourselves with, and 4 that we will not. So the 4 major classes of mollusks, the ones that you are responsible for, are the Polyplacophora, the Gastropoda, the Bivalvia, and the Cephalopoda, or Cephalopoda, depending on who you ask. The Polyplacophora are also called chitons, Chiton. Compare that with Chitin, which is found in the cell wall of fungi. But chitons, also called gumboots, they have 8 valves. That's the many in their name. So it's many plates, Polyplacophora. These 8 valves are secreted by the mantle, which is very thick, and their foot, you can see the foot here, and you can see it's very muscular. It helps. It almost looks like from the ventral surface here, it almost looks like a big suction cup, and that's kind of what it is. Polyplacophorans, chitons, live in the littoral zone, or in the intertidal zone, where they can get buffeted about by waves, and if they aren't very firmly attached to their substrate, they could find themselves dislodged, and they don't want that. So they have a very muscular creeping foot and that thick mantle functioning like a suction cup, enabling them to stay on their substrate, their favorite rock or what have you. And they use their radula typically to rasp algae off of these rocks. And sometimes you'll find these at the beach. And they're not always ornate like this. There's some that I've seen that look more like a pair of fake hillbilly teeth, like you might get out of a vending machine.